Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Treaty LPC, and welcome back to season 2 of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. Today's episode is going to be, I'd say rather interesting because today, guess who's the actual guest? Yours truly, me. So I am going to be interviewed by my very good friend, Erika D. Alexander. She is here today. She has some questions. I have no idea what she's going to ask me. So this is going to be exciting for all of us. So please tune in. Thank you guys for all the love for season 1. And I am just glad to be back and can't wait to share this amazing season with you guys. So stay tuned.
All right. Well, thanks for having me here today. And
for coming.
This came up because we were talking one day and I was like, dang, there's some things I really don't know about you, even though we've known each other for so long. So yeah, I got my questions ready. And we'll be focusing more on your childhood because that's where,
oh Lord.
Yes, those are the
grab
questions.
My drink then.
Yes, grab your drink. Those are the questions I know about your adulthood.
I got you. So,
but yeah, so thanks for tuning in today. Cheers to friendship, and let's get started with these questions. So, I got my list, y'all. So, my first question. So, who exactly did you grow up with? Because I sometimes get confused with the timeline. I know you told me about your grandmother raising you. I believe your aunt too.
Yeah.
But so tell me about that. Like, how did that come about?
Well, I was actually raised by my paternal great-grandmother.
Okay.
And I was raised in LaGrange, Georgia. So her name was Ophelia. And she was like in her 60s when she actually got custody of me.
Okay.
And I lived with her from the time I was about 2 months old. And so I was raised in LaGrange. She was my primary caregiver, her as well as my aunt. Her name is Janan. Most people know her as Janan. Her real name is Jeannie. And so with that, I was just kind of raised by them. My mom was in prison for the first several years of my life. Like, she was there, but I don't think she went to prison until the mid 80s, but I don't remember her getting out of prison until the early 90s. And so most of my early childhood, she was not there. I believe she got out of prison when I was in the 2nd grade.
Okay. Yeah. So one of my other questions pertains to your siblings. So you went to live with them or with your great grandmother. Where did your siblings go?
So, all right, the sibling story. So I have multiple siblings.
Break it down for us.
All right, I'm going to break it down to you. So my older brother, Broderick Dion Porter, he actually passed away before I was born. So he was born in 1979. Yes.
Same year as me.
Yeah, he was born in 79, August of 79. And he was born before I was born. He's my dad's firstborn. I am the oldest living.
Okay.
And so I was born in 82. And then my younger brother, who you probably have heard me refer to as my twin brother, Dion, he was born in 84.
Okay.
And so Dion is my dad's. He's my dad's oldest living son.
Okay.
And so we were kind of raised together, but not in the same home. So he lived with his grandmother, Bud.
His maternal grandmother.
With his maternal grandmother, Bud. So he was raised there. I was raised with my great grandmother, Ophelia, and my great aunt, Jeannie.
Okay.
And my next sibling didn't come along until 87. So actually not 87. He gonna get mad at me for saying 89. I'm thinking about my brother-in-law was born in 87. So my other sibling, Rashad, he was born in 89. That's the one people mostly see me posting with. We're really, really close, but we weren't close growing up. So he actually lived with my dad and his mom, my stepmom, Rose. Okay. So he was raised in the house with her, with them and my stepsister, Shay. So Shay is actually I think she's a year and a couple of months older than me. So she was a grade ahead of me in school or whatever.
Did y'all all still go to the same school?
She and I went to the same school for certain grades. Because in LaGrange, it was split up. We would have for 4th grade, I think we went to Southside, and for 5th grade, we went to Berta Weathersby. And so we would be in the same school, third grade, second grade. Okay. But then fourth and fifth, we weren't. Sixth, actually, at that time, she ended up moving to Columbus to live with her dad, her biological dad. And so, they were living there. And then you got to go all the way another, 9 years for my baby sister, Tiana. Okay. And so that's my dad's side.
Okay, so Tiana's on your dad's side too.
Yes, she was born in 98. That's my baby sister.
Baby sister I met at the birthday dinner.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I met her.
All right. Okay. Dad's side.
And Twin was there too, right?
No, Twin was not there.
The other brother.
Rashad was there.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So that's my dad's side. So my mom's side, I have an older sister.
Okay.
Her name is Crystal. She was born the year before me. Okay. And she was actually raised by our aunt who is on my mom's side.
Okay.
And so she, most of her life, I believe Crystal actually spent a little bit of time in foster care before my aunt got her. And she lived with my aunt until I think we were in she was in the sixth grade because she's a year older than me or whatever. So I think she was in the sixth grade when she went to live with my mom.
Okay.
So yeah, we were, I have 6 siblings and none of us ever stayed in the same house together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so that brings me to one of my next questions. With your sister going to live with your mom and you staying with your paternal grandmother, how were your feelings about that as a child? Did it not make sense to you, or was it just oh, she's going to live with mom, or did you care?
No, I didn't care. I think at that point in my life, there were things that made me care. But I think at that point in my life, I had a choice. I could have went to live with her.
Okay.
The way that I heard the story, and again, this is the way I heard it, but the way I heard it was that I think my aunt was trying to seek some child support. Or financial support. And, I think Crystal also maybe wanted to go or whatever, so that happened. And me, I just didn't have the desire to go because I felt settled. I think I've always been resistant to change. I remember in the second grade, they tried to switch my teacher for reading, and I cried for 2 weeks because I was just when I get comfortable with something, I'm comfortable. And I think I had gotten comfortable even in the chaos of what it was or whatever. Was I resistant? Was I a wild child? Absolutely. But I was, at that point, I had got settled into this is what my life looks like. And I don't want that type of change. But yeah, there were certain things that I didn't like. My mom had a decent job. Most of my family worked in the industrial world. And so she, my sister would have nicer things than I had. She would get a J, she would get Levi's. They would go to Solomon, was the spot to go to in LaGrange. Yes. So she would get the nice stuff. And I remember one time asking my mom, well, why do you do things for her, but you don't do things for me? And it was kind of the answer I got was, well, she lives with me. So I was I think that was the only thing that really made me feel some type of way.
Yeah, I could definitely see. I mean, can we curse?
Yeah, you can curse.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, the name of the show is Self-Aware and Effed Up, by the way. So it's okay to
respectful. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's, just to me, because you still my mama, so yeah. All right, well, thanks for breaking that down. That definitely, and I think it's pretty cool that you had enough awareness to ask her about that, or courage, but I know you a Sagittarius, so
That is true.
You gonna ask. We're inquisitive, so we want to know. So at least you did ask. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to ask. My feelings were hurt or whatever. I'm pulling up in school with whatever bullshit on my feet. And I'm I don't know. I'm not into Jordans as an adult, but I don't know. It was the zebra print Jordans on the bottom. I just don't remember that shit because I was hurt. I was damn.
You had the Payless ones?
No, we had a Payless. I had Nikes and stuff. I remember Junior Seau's and Deion Sanders and all that. Yeah. But I'm man, you got the J's. That, you was it if you had the J's.
Right.
So it was I was just hurt. I was just,
I get it. But I get it. So how do you think that has shaped your relationship with your mom looking back? I know we're talking about your childhood, but just from that living situation, seeing the difference with how you were treated, your siblings, do you think that has shaped it in any way, good or bad? Or
I mean, a lot of my relationship with my mom, I think, was shaped. I guess pre-16. And it was like, I don't want to paint this picture of her as just like this horrible fucking person. Like personally, right now, I still feel that way in my adult life. But in childhood, I understood that there were things that were going on that I didn't necessarily fully understand. But I think pre-16, it wasn't horrible, even though I didn't live with her.
Okay.
Like, I would go over on the weekends or whatever. Like, I would go to her house on the weekends. She was married to her first husband at the time, and we would do shit on the weekend, like play Monopoly and fight over shit, and
like normal family.
Like dominoes, and me and my sister watch BET and shit like that. Video soul for the old I don't know about that.
Might be a little too old for you.
I don't know about jukebox, but video soul with Danny Simpson, yes. So we would, we had that normalcy. Okay. But in the middle of that normalcy was also chaos because my stepdad beat the shit out of my mom. And we heard that. And so we heard all of that stuff. Wow. And he also, there were just things he did to my sister or whatever. And I don't want to put too much of her shit out there because this is about me. That's right. But just seeing, that type of relationship, and also seeing, like, I think I had a lot of empathy for my mom at that time because I'm coming over here and this man knocking your head between the washer and dryer. And my sister, I will tell this part of her story because this is how she traumatized me. But my mom and sister used to fight in the goddamn middle of the street, like niggas that did not know each other. And it was like, seeing that shit, it really did make me feel, because I'm like, how old? My sister's a year older than me, so we was like, shit, 11, 12.
Damn, like fighting like that?
They was fighting or whatever. So it was really tough or whatever, because I empathize with her more than because I'm like, I see what's going on. You dealing with this man that's doing all of this shit. And then you're also dealing with, you're also dealing with just that trauma from your childhood, because my mom's mom was killed when my mom was pregnant with my sister. Wow. So it's like I understood all of those things, and I think those things are the things that helped me empathize with her. And our relationship changed when she got off drugs when I was 16. Okay. So it started to change for the better, and it wasn't until I actually, like, the real shit really didn't start coming out until I was in my 20s, where I really started getting angry about a lot of the stuff that had happened. And it's just kind of, things will be good, things get bad, things get good. Up, down, up, so, I mean, like, it definitely has shaped me because it has impacted me. And like my whole childhood shaped me because I'm in my field because of that shit. So I want to help other kids that went through the stuff I went through.
Absolutely. So I know, and of course, there's probably only so much you can share with them, but you can definitely empathize with them on a whole nother level when they share with you what they're going through. Yeah. Yeah. So your mom, you shared that she was in prison and her substance abuse issues. When I first met you, I just knew your mom was a pastor. So how did she go from prison to pastor?
I was not ready for that.
Tell us, because of course they say most pastors have a story. They have a past. So tell me a little about that, and then we'll hop back on the childhood.
I gotcha. I don't know. People, addicts switch addictions, and that's what happened. That's just the bottom line of it. Like, I didn't even know that she was kind of down that path until, honestly, like, I think I was like a junior in college. That I found out like that she was doing like a trial sermon or whatever. Okay. And I don't know much about that part of her actual journey or whatever, other than people go from crack to the Bible. So you go from one slave to the pulpit. You go from one slavery to the other slavery. Like, you don't know what you want to do, because like now you a slave to Jesus or you a slave to the pipe.
So does she have her own church?
No, she doesn't have her own church. She goes to.
You don't have to say her church.
No, I don't care. Shit. But no, she goes to the same church that she was ordained in. I mean, anybody that knows me kind of knows what church she went to. But she's been at the same church for like I guess at this point, 20 years.
Okay,
so,
wow.
Okay. But yeah, she became a minister then or whatever. And then I think shortly after that, I went through my whole Jesus phase too. So,
okay, we'll hit on that. All right. Now for a little fun question. What is your best childhood memory?
Oh, that's tough because they all like,
and if it's more than one,
it's probably like,
I know you had something good.
Yeah, I had some good.
It could be school, it could be family, it could be friends.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I think my fondest memories, honestly, were like the summers, like going to sack lunch, which was like our little recreational thing. We go to Caveman Park and like during the summer we go up in there and we play games and all kind of stuff. They would take us on field trips or whatever. Okay. So I think that, and then walking to City Pool as a kid. Like we used to like to go up there and we would swim. None of us could actually swim. Well, I couldn't actually swim. I had like
now when you don't like water,
we just to walk around in the water or whatever, hanging out with my cousin Linty, like that was like whatever. Like I feel like not discussing her in a story about my childhood is like wrong because she's not my blood sister, but she was like a sister growing up or whatever. She's like a sister cousin. But yeah, hanging out with her every summer. Like she would come over to the house with her bag. They used to say, "You coming over to here with your little spending the night bag?" And so my cousin would pull up and like we was having sleepovers pretty much. She stayed in my house all summer. Okay. Every summer, all summer. We made up pallets on the floor. And we would just like be chilling. Those were like, those memories, hanging out with friends, playing red light, green light, and all that, racing barefoot. Just normal kid shit. Yeah.
And how were the holidays?
The holidays were interesting. I say that like because for the first, like, maybe 8 to 10 years, I feel like most of my holidays were spent, like, just me, my grandmother, and my aunt. Okay. And then as I got a little bit older, like, maybe, I don't know, I guess, like, 10, I remember we used to go to my grandmother, Alice's house, every Christmas. But we didn't start the tradition of going there every Thanksgiving and Christmas until later on. So most of the time I would spend those holidays with my grandmother.
Okay. So how did your childhood holidays shape how you celebrate holidays now as an adult?
At this big age, I don't really celebrate them in the same way because most of my memories are really tied to my grandmother on those holidays. Like Thanksgiving was her favorite holiday. Christmas, she would deck the house out. And so like since she passed in 2015, it hasn't been the same. So we have new traditions. Like I usually go to my cousin, when I was speaking about earlier, Lynn, we usually go to her house and do like a crab seafood boil. And that kind of became like a new tradition. Like I never want to miss that for Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day, it's just pajamas and TV and food at this point, because it doesn't feel the same, especially like my grandmother passed in 2015. It was one thing. And then when my aunt passed March of 2018, it was just like, I don't want to do this shit. Yeah. So it became,
But you said you still created some new traditions, I guess, in honor of them.
I mean, sure.
So what are the traditions?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is it. Like,
Isn't there something you do for Thanksgiving? Like something maybe that you cook or...
I'll cook something, but it's like I cook the collard greens. And that's what you're getting at. I don't know the ancestors for the collard greens. Yeah. But like, to me, it's just still a thing. Like my spirit is not into it. It's like, I'll do it. Like my grandmother loved cooking for people. So I'll kind of do it. And typically, my in-laws will come in town and, I'll do that dish or whatever. And, that's kind of it. Like, I don't really get in the spirit of Thanksgiving or any of that stuff.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, so back to your childhood. So what kind of student were you at school? Like, how did you act at school? What were your grades like? What was your personality like? Were you... an introvert or extrovert? Did you have a ton of friends? I know I'm asking like 50 million questions in once, horrible. But it's okay. I'll break it back down. We'll start with, how were you as a student? What was them grades looking like?
Come on now.
Straight A's?
Hell yeah. Like, straight A's. If I got like anything less than like even S's or whatever in like first grade, second grade, it was, I would cry.
Like, even math and science throughout high school? I sucked in math and science.
I got 1 B in high school.
Okay. Wow.
Like,
okay.
And that was it. Honors English.
Me too. Honors English.
Yeah, honors English. My 9th grade year, I got a B, and I was like, "Fuck this honors English shit. Let me go ahead." And I took honors biology and honors biology and whatever, and I still kept like, yeah, but I had like 1 B in high school. It was whatever.
So very studious.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, so what was your friend circle like?
It's so crazy. Because at home, my friend circle was just my hood. It was like the people that lived down the street that I ran with. We played Super Nintendo together. We kicked it together. And at school, first grade, it looked different because first grade, I went to the school in my hood. Second grade, that's when LaGrange finally got on the desegregation train for real in 91. And they closed down my school, Eastside Primary. And they started busing us to the school with Ashley Holliston Elementary with the
more predominantly white school.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
I got you.
So it was different because, again, I set up straight A's. We already know that they kind of segregate the schools, even in the schools. So, the smart kids are in one class and not so smart kids. So I'm in a class with the smart kids, but it's obviously only 1 or 2 other people in the class that look like me.
Wow.
So it was different because I'm spending all day predominantly with people who are not Black, and I'm spending all evening with people who are Black. So code switching for me started very early.
Yeah.
So
wow.
It was like culture.
I didn't even realize that LaGrange was that behind when it came to race. And, of course, we're in the South, and I've seen it in Alabama. When I moved to Alabama, I definitely dealt with the schools being broken down to, I don't want to say but you said it, they break the students down, smart or very gifted, smart, average, below average, below average. That's what, and so that's crazy. I didn't realize it was like that in our state as well. So do you still have any close friends from your childhood that you talk to? Or from your hood that you hang with or that you see when you go home? Or do you just keep it strictly fam?
No, I'm still cool. Anybody I grew up with, they still family now. Do I talk to them all the time? No. Because, we kind of live in different worlds at this point. But, it's a couple of people that I went to school with that I would say, Facebook is probably our only interaction or whatever, or a class reunion or something like that. But yeah, from my hood, it's just Facebook connections. I think we'll have situations where we try to link up, but we really don't. I would say the only person that I'm really still cool with, and Cassie, everybody know Cassie, my best friend or whatever, and LaShondra, they really ain't from my hood. Cassie from the west side, and LaShondra, she from the east side, but we didn't grow. When I say hood, my hood, I mean cavemen. Okay. I don't mean just the entire east side, because I don't know everybody on the entire east side, but I know everybody that was on Addis Street, Vine Street. Okay. So yeah.
But they're still childhood friends, right?
Yeah, they are childhood friends. It's just when you say hood, I'm literal. Yeah. But yeah, Cassie and Chandra, those are the only ones that's just hang tight. It's Manchester Harmon. We all still cool, but we don't talk like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next question, we're gonna move over more to the sexuality side.
Oh my God. Need more liquor.
It's a part of your childhood and who you are. So
I wouldn't really say that, but okay.
Yeah. So growing up in LaGrange and with the culture of the South, culture with Black families, at what age do you recall or remember knowing, I like girls?
At what age? Yeah. I would say that I was at probably sometime between 10 and 12. And I say that because I remember there was this girl, may she rest in peace. She actually just passed away last year.
Oh, dang.
But there was this girl that I remember, like, I didn't know then that it was a crush. I didn't know, I had no clue at the time that it was actual crush, but I did figure that out later, that this was someone that I was attracted to at a really, really young age. I mean, like, the celebrity ones like T-Boz and Thought Chili. Right. That was like, I mean, anybody now that's like, oh, damn, that's why that bitch was so obsessed with them. But I mean, like, that was definitely a factor, something that I look back on, like, damn, I was obsessed with them or whatever. But like, just people in my age group, I just remember being attracted to that one particular person.
Okay. So when did you feel comfortable talking to your family about it?
Well, I didn't come out until I was like 19.
Okay.
So like, I didn't even date.
A young adult.
Yeah, I didn't even date anybody until I was 19. Like, I didn't come to terms with those feelings within myself until then. So like, a lot of the stuff, like, people say childhood, I always knew this, that, and the other, whatever. Like, I didn't realize until I kind of analyzed, because, growing up in the South, it's like, you always thought, like, yeah, that's against God, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that. And of course, I was raised in a church, so it was just a different, kind of experience. So yeah, when I came back, it was tough.
Tell us about that. You were 19, you were still 19. A young adult. Like, what was that like for you, and who did you tell first?
I think the first person that I told was my best friend, Cassie.
Okay.
Like,
what did Cassie say?
She was cool. She was very supportive. We had a conversation about this not too long ago or whatever, because she told her sister, and her sister outed me to like everybody at the place that we worked at.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like, it was horrible. Like, it was so horrible or whatever. But like, Cassie was the first person I told. I know she gonna get mad, but she was
okay.
But no, because she's like, you still hold that against me? I'm like, yes. And she's like, well, I didn't know she had a big mouth or whatever. So yes, but no. She was the first person that I felt comfortable enough sharing it with.
Okay. So then after that, like, when did you tell your family?
I think it was like maybe a couple of months later. I told them once I was actually in a relationship with someone. Okay. And they were not here for it at all. My great grandmother was like, yeah, we just need to pray, and then my aunt, I don't understand, and, all of that. My aunt still really very much does not understand, but she tries to be supportive of whatever. I never came out to my mom, or my dad or whatever, like, formally.
Okay. Because to me, it's just like, okay, that's who I am. Why do I need to have this big announcement, I
mean, I just didn't really... I mean, if I'm looking back on it, to be perfectly honest, I didn't feel like I needed their approval or acceptance or whatever. Good. But with my aunt and my grandmother, I felt like I did.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like I felt like I needed to talk to them.
Yeah, because you respected them.
Yeah. So I did that, and then like a couple of other like friends in college at the time, because the person I was dating, we were all a part of a friend group, and. It was like, we were like basically hiding it from them, and I didn't feel cool with that. So
I see. Okay. Okay. So from your childhood, were there any relationships that shaped like how you are in your relationships now, your intimate relationships?
Not from my childhood, no.
Okay. So how do you think that's impacted you as an adult now?
How do I think my childhood has impacted me as an adult?
Like not being able to see intimate relationships with other adults, like, I guess, how other adults dated or treated one another in relationships. Do you feel like it plays a part in who you are? Or like, how did you learn to be you in your relationships, I guess is what I'm asking. If you feel like you didn't get to see that. Since so many people say, oh, this is how my mom and dad were, or...
Yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of used that as an example of how I didn't want my relationships to look. So like, you know, both of my parents, like, yeah, my dad was married twice. My mom was on her third marriage. So like, yeah, I just saw it as an example of how I didn't want to be.
Okay. I could definitely relate to that too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we learn from other people's mistakes.
We do.
So, like, okay, I'm not going down that road.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. Well, and what about with your siblings? Like, as far as the dynamics, the way you all grew up, how are you all now as adults with, you mentioned like one brother you weren't close to, but now y'all are closer. Like, what do you think changed or brought y'all together once you got older?
I don't know. I just think like going through life experiences, I think, I don't know. Me and my brother had a conversation about this a couple months ago where I kind of apologized to him because I was a horrible fucking big sister. Like, I was the worst person ever. Like, I did him so wrong growing up.
Like what?
Man, I just beat him up. He will tell you vividly about this one time that I like put mustard in his hair. It was like I just used to do shit because I was jealous. Like I was a kid. I always felt like he got shown more love and attention. Me and my stepsister both kind of felt that same way. Like he was kind of favored. And colorism played a role in that, whatever, because we were both like, you know, darker skinned and he was more you know, he was lighter than a paper bag, if you know, we're gonna go by that test. And so like I just kind of like he got more attention. I feel like he was more loved. And so like I used to treat him like shit. And so, like, of course, if your big sister treat you like that you don't care that they don't went off to college and are living this new life. You just like, shit, all right, that bitch didn't like me, so fuck her. And then, I don't know, like, I think after he was in college or whatever, I mean, obviously I started to change a little bit or whatever. Yeah. But I didn't know him. And so we... I think what ended up changing, like before he started one of his jobs, he reached out and needed some help, and that still didn't really, you know, make us close or whatever. But it opened the door, I guess, of him to see, like, yeah, maybe she ain't the bitch she used to be. And so then, I will tell you exactly when that change happened. Like, because we would still go to grandma's house, we would talk more at, you know, family functions and all of that, and then, he came to my graduation for my master's program when I graduated from Troy University. I did not expect him to come. Right. And he showed up, him and his mom and his little brother. And that changed it for me. I was like, that's my nigga. Like, I was like, that's my dude. That's my dude. And then his birthday was like maybe the next week. And like, that's when we kind of started doing birthday celebrations together and all of that. So like 2012, things really shifted. But for me, like when he showed up for my graduation, I was like, I fucks with you, bro. Yeah. Like I do. I'm getting fucking emotional.
I know. I was like a little teary too. That's sweet. Because I mean, graduations. Well, I hate graduation. So if I come to your graduation, best believe I love you. But secondly, a master's degree. You know, at that point, most people are like, oh, they've done high school, college. So yeah, for him to show up for something like that, that's.
Yeah, it definitely was amazing to me. And so that kind of was a shift or whatever. And we kind of have been hanging tight. We done had some bumps in the road, but we've been able to work through them. Like he's one of those people that like he's just a solid ass dude, and I fuck with him.
That's good. That's good. So, you know, as a child, did you have an idea that you wanted to be a counselor or that you wanted to help people? Like, what did you want to be when you were a child?
The fine child.
Let's see. So from the ages of maybe second grade to middle school, because I know sometimes things change once you get to high school and then they change again in college. I know I changed my major in college. So I guess, but when I think about child, I think, you know, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you
I mean, my first, like, if we going back to second grade, then of course I wanted to be like an actress and rapper and all of that.
You can still be a rapper.
I am a rapper.
Yes, you are.
but no. But honestly, like that, those were like my fantastical childhood dreams, and they definitely could have been actualized. I did acting. I did a lot of that shit. But my sixth grade career connections class. You know, we used to old school. Everybody got ONET now, but back then we had the occupational outlook handbook. And yeah, I've wanted to be a counselor since then. I wanted to first started off as child psychologist, but it moved into like the counseling realm or whatever. So I'm not one of those people to say, oh, I'm gonna change my major 20 times. Like I went into undergrad and I want to do this. Okay. I did change my major one time, but it was the same field. Like I was pre-med chem when I started, chem or biology when I started, because initially I was like, oh, well, psychiatrist. And then I was like, I really don't want to be pushing no damn pills to people. I really want to talk to people, really get to know people, whatever. And so then I switched to psychology after my first semester. Okay. And once you learned the difference. Yeah, once I was in psychology 1101 and I learned the difference, Dr. Tobin Hart, I don't know if he's still teaching, but like that class, it made me realize like, no, I really want to do this. And so after that, I changed my major. Okay. And I focused on psychology, and, you know, 3.5 years later.
Here we are.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so. Well, I've always known.
Okay, speaking of college, because, I mean, of course, you're not a child, but it's a part of young adulthood. What was your college experience like? You know, I guess at this point, you left home. And so you had a roommate, or did you live by yourself? What was college like?
My first year, I had a roommate at Row Hall. And my second year, I became an RA, so I lived solo on site. So I was an RA for the time.
Being an RA.
Of course. Yeah. So I was an RA for like that whole period of time, like until I graduated. Watson Hall, Watson, is what they called it. And that entire time, it was good. Like, I mean, I just went to school. I went to class. I did my thing. I was involved in a lot of stuff on campus, Black Student Alliance. That's where I got my militant parts of me that are very pro-Black and like, yay, or whatever. Like, I learned a lot about myself. I always like to shout out their motto, know thyself, be thyself, express thyself, because it's something that I learned to live my life by. And so that changed the course or whatever. Like the people that the people that are a part of that organization are still very close to me, very near and dear to my heart.
Okay. All right. I like that. So you had a pretty good college experience. Did you party or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I party, but come on now. Like the adult version of me is very much like the college version of me. Very busy, schedule always packed, but I'm always going to schedule in some fun. So even if I can very much vividly remember, even if I had a 8:00 public speaking class where I had to go and deliver a freaking speech about stuff that I don't even care about, I might have stayed out at 2 a.m. at Club 31 or the Blue Dolphin the night before and still went in there and aced that motherfucking speech. Hey, yeah. But that, like, my schedule, like, the way my schedule is now, it was like that in college. Like, it was everything, like theater. I did theater, so I had practice every night from like 6 to 10.
But you did theater and acting.
Yeah, all of that was college. So West Georgia Theater Company, doing that, whether we were building sets. I was acted in a couple of the plays, did sound, lighting, all of that. So like we would have to be at practice like Monday through Friday, 6 to 10. Okay. And I had to leave there and do RA duty in the lobby, like watching that out or whatever. Yeah. We would have on duty doing rounds. And then I gotta get up and go to class the next day and do it all over again. BSA meeting, because I was on the executive board for that. So it was a lot.
Executive board for what?
Like executive board. So like I think I was like the public relations chair one year and the membership committee. So like we were responsible for like hosting events on campus or whatever for Black students. So yeah.
Okay. And I'm guessing now it makes sense your love for plays and theater because the love you had as a child. Okay, that makes sense now. I didn't know.
Yeah, it goes back. I wrote my first play in 7th grade.
My first play was in 7th grade.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, what was your first play?
We did a revamp of The Fisherman and His Wife.
Okay.
We had to remix it and do it for the class. And so like it was kind of a rewrite. And that's when I started writing more intensely and doing that. And then like college, obviously I was in Wizards Theater Company. And then after college, I created my first business was actually Divine Inspirations Enterprises, which was a gospel stage play company. And we did our first gospel stage play in 2007, So-Called Christian.
Okay. So-Called Christian.
Yeah.
I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, came from my life. And I was a part of that. That was definitely a highlight. I dedicated that play to my grandmother because she had passed 6 months before. So. Okay. And that was the first and last play. People always say, when are you going to do another one? I'm like, nah.
That was it.
That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So for my last question, you and I both love to travel.
Okay.
So I'm just curious, did you get to travel any as a child or did you travel with your family any? Like what led to your love for travel?
Honestly, first part of that question, hell no. We was broke. I did it. We went nowhere because they have nobody's money. So basically, growing up, we was poor. My grandmother was on a fixed income. My aunt is disabled. She was shot when she was 17 years old. And so she has been disabled my entire life and since she was 17. So she has disability income. My grandmother had SSI. She was retired. And so we had no money. Like I remember wanting to go on this trip to Universal like as a kid. And then it was like, well, you can't go because you've been bad. And hell, I was bad, but I'm sure we probably just didn't have the money. Looking back. But no, I did not get a chance to travel. But I did see my grandmother travel. My aunt in California would like pay towards her trip. My grandmother was a part of the Golden Age Club. And so the older people would just go on these trips together. And her bringing back souvenirs and all of that was always like really fun and hearing about her trips or whatever. And it always made me want to just kind of see the world. Like growing up in the hood, it just made me want to like expand that. And so I honestly didn't think it was a possibility.
Wow.
Because hell, I was poor until about my mid-20s.
Unless you came from money or some shit.
But I was like super poor until my mid-20s. And then after that, it was like, okay, my relationship, I was with someone and they like to travel. And they took me on my first trip outside of like going to Alabama or going to this, that, and other, whatever. And honey, ever since then, baby, it's been up and stuck.
Wow. So tell us at least the 5 places you've been.
Bangkok, Thailand.
Nice.
Havana, Cuba. 2 of my faves. Dubai, one definitely was on my top list or whatever. And then my favorite stateside, honestly, is New Orleans and New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. I know I said one last question, but this is truly the last question. What would you tell your child Tree now?
Man, you on that Alex shit right now. Cause I told Alex I was leaving the childhood tree alone. I would just tell her, look, life's gonna be tough. There's a lot of shit that you're going to go through, but you will survive every single test, every single trial and tribulation that comes before you. You will survive it because you are resilient, you are strong, and you are made of the good stuff, as my dad says. So I would tell her that. Girl, you all the time.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for being vulnerable to open up about your childhood, because it's not always easy talking about that shit. So
it's not, and it certainly has been a challenge. But I am grateful that you took time out of your day in order to come and deal with all of the hassle of today.
It's not even been that bad.
My phone has been ringing for the last 10 minutes straight, and I keep on hitting the end button, and they keep calling. So nevertheless, but I am grateful for you being patient, and I am grateful for your friendship.
I'm grateful
you are
too.
Fucking amazing. I really appreciate
you. Okay, no.
I do. I ain't trying to make her cry, y'all, but I cannot not say this. Sharing this moment with you, a special one, because of who you have been in my life. Aww. You are amazing, and you have been the most warm, accepting, affirming person that I've encountered in my life, that just came in and accepted me as is. And I will always be so, so grateful for your friendship.
Oh, thank you. I love you.
I love you too. So guys, this has been one. She got me crying, y'all. Oh my God. But I thank you guys for hanging in there with us and tuning in. What she does not know is she's going to be a guest this season as well. Not just a guest host. She is going to be a guest.
I'm here for it.
So I can't wait for you guys to see the rest of this season. And we both in here like screwed up. But I love it because I love her so much. And she is probably the only person I would have done this with. So thank you guys. Again, stay tuned in for this season. It's going to be amazing. I promise you guys, you do not want to miss a single episode. I cannot wait to share it with you guys. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.
Peace.